And the last one, guys, is worst mainstream media hosts. The 4 candidates here are Joe Scarborough, Jesse Waters, Dana Bash, and Whoopi Goldberg. And the person I had in 4th place easily won the majority of the votes. So that's interesting from the audience. But all right, John, what do you got here?
Yeah, I think I have an obligation to continue to be the voice of the people, and I feel like I know who it is. I think there's good cases to make for several of those. I was trying to remember, Dana Bash did something recently that I thought was admirable and I agreed with, and I cannot for the life of me remember what it was, but I feel like she did an interview and did a really good job, but it's lost to me. I have dad brain. So I'm gonna be the stereotypical person you'd expect, and I'm gonna say Jesse Waters. I think Jesse Waters was given this massive opportunity when Tucker Carlson flamed out, the sort of opportunity that someone with his limited talent never should have gotten. Like, what is he being put in front of an audience of millions for? And like, he's somehow managed to do kind of what I expected, in that nobody seems to do less work for their show than Jesse Waters. This guy seems just thoroughly lazy and incurious. And then what he does do with this massive opportunity that he never should have gotten is so like, he does this weird trolling thing about masculinity, and he demonizes the unhoused, and he does like a wink and a nod to Tucker Carlson's conspiracism, but without any of the passion that Tucker used to bring. So it's lazy and it's pointless. Like, a lot of people are worried about what it'll be like when AI replaces different jobs. And we might think, what will it be like when AI replaces us? AI basically has. It's Jesse Waters. If you just told ChatGPT, be a lazy right-wing chud, it would be exactly the show that he broadcasts every night.
Yeah, wow. But how do you really feel? All right, JR.
Yeah, I like to have variety so we can at least determine the reasons why behind all these folks. But there's a thing about Jesse Waters. I watch a decent amount of him because there's not just one show, John. It's 2 of them. He's on the 5 as well. So he gets an opportunity just to spread that his ignorant points of view multiple times in a day, and gets to converse with folks around the table about it too. And then every time, he's had moments when the 2 women on the panel. I'm blanking on everyone's name, but when he went after Kamala Harris, and then he said the generals would have their way with her in the situation or something like that. Yeah. And they were like, "You take that back, Jesse." Anytime you somewhat regularly offend your Fox News hosts that are also quite, deplorable at times, and they're like, "You have to stop saying these things, Jesse," and he's just sitting back and laughing. So he's almost a cartoon of what you'd expect someone like that to be. There's been a couple times, I think I even said it recently on the main show. I was like, I feel like Jesse Waters says such outrageous things. Like, he's just trolling. He's like one of those folks on X that they act like a conservative, but it's so over the top. You can obviously see that they're just making fun of conservatives. He does that. And I'm like, one day he's gonna be like, surprise. Actually, this whole time, because I've been trolling you, and I really hate all this stuff because it's so incredibly over the top, the things that he says and the things that he does and the things that he says he believes in, and just carries on right to the next broadcast. Yeah, I can't get off of the fact that it's obviously Jesse Waters.
Okay, Awkward Hulk wrote in, gotta be Whoopi. Come on, guys. Okay, so here's the way I had it. So look, Jesse Waters, I had at the bottom for the same reason that John had him at the top, which is he's kind of an AI generated guy, like fill in the blank. Is he that different than Greg Gutfeld? Not really, right? And so he's like a standard right-wing douche media host from the old days. So I don't know, I wasn't that moved by him. And every year he's the same. Dana Bash is way more complicated. She has plenty of good questions. She's usually pretty tough on folks when she's interviewing them, and I like that. And John, I don't know if this is what you were thinking about. I gave her credit earlier today on the show for her interview with Chris Sununu when he is like, Elon Musk is an outsider. And she's like, really? right? And she challenged him on all of his conflict of interest issues with the companies that he runs and how they're connected to the government. And I like that about Dana Bash. But she's so terrible on Israel and she was particularly terrible this year. And so she's so biased, it's ridiculous. And to the point where she's starting to let go of facts and pretending that Israel is like giving out legitimate talking points and like, oh, well, the Israeli government says this, so I guess that must be true. Are you crazy? It's not remotely true. Anyway, she was awful this year overall because of that. I thought Whoopi was terrible on The View, but everyone on The View was so terrible that it kind of dissipated it a little bit. And so I picked Joe Scarborough. Scarborough is the heart of corporate evil in corporate media, right? The epicenter of establishment bullshit. An obvious liar who told you that Trump was the worst thing you've ever seen, and then right afterwards went to go visit him, and not for any policy positions, not for anything related to the country, but because he said he was scared and wanted to basically kiss up to him. Jesus, man. And then he told us that Biden was, oh man, I met with him behind the scenes. He was young and dynamic and amazing. He's totally got on command of the material. He does the debate. He's like, oh, Biden's falling apart at the seams. I literally said he'll change his mind 24 hours from now. And then he comes back on and goes, never mind, Biden is back to young and dynamic and he's great and et cetera. Then he drops out and he's like, oh yeah, I knew it about Biden. Shut the up already, right? So like, he's unbearable. He's the worst of the worst. So to me, Joe Scarborough in a landslide, but that's not the direction. What's that?
They hate us because they hate us.
Yeah, there's that too from back in the day.
That's the same guy. He's been at it for a very long time.
Same guy who was a huge Republican congressman and now a huge Democratic leadership fan. I mean, who is he really? All he is this just giant bag of ego. Okay, so I loathe the guy. But you guys were overwhelming. You didn't pick what I picked. You all thought the same way that John and JR did. Fuck Jesse Waters. So over 60% picking Jesse Waters. Okay, so hey, listen, the people have spoken. What can I do? Okay, John, in this Turks and Jerks somehow got the title of Voice of the People.
Yeah.
And again, you nailed it, John. Jesse Waters. You were right. Voice of the People, John Idarola. Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.